Hello class and welcome to this Star Fox 64 walkthrough right here on Video Games 101 by way of Let's Play with Brigands. I'm your instructor, Professor Brigands. Star Fox 64 was another day one game for me as a kid, going to Toys R Us with my pre-sale ticket on June 30th, 1996, and I played it every day that summer until GoldenEye came out at the end of August, a couple months later, but that was my summer, getting every medal in this game, dismantling every boss, basically everything we're going to be covering over the course of this complete Star Fox 64 walkthrough. Specifically, and no offense to Peppy or Slippy, but our resident boss expert Gary has all of your boss beaters for the nearly 20 bosses this game boasts. Blaze has your items guide as usual. Fluff has a ton of interesting facts about this game and Star Fox in general, things I never knew before this class, and I'll be walking you through the keys to beating every stage in this game with a medal. And we're going to be beginning with the easy route, then moving on to the medium route, and finishing off with the hard route. So if you're looking for a specific stage, then we have timestamps set up, so if you take a look in the description, at the pinned comment up top, or just look at the timeline on the video itself, you'll find the stage you're looking for. In terms of difficulty, if you're just trying to complete this game, no matter which route you take, Star Fox 64 is not too bad. I'm going to give it that just right difficulty of a 5 out of 10, which on the frustration scale equates to throwing your controller across the room, probably because of something that Slippy did, let's be honest. Note this is a different story if you're playing on expert mode, but we'll talk about that on the other side. But plenty to get into, so let's run the intro and get into this Star Fox 64 walkthrough right here on Video Games 101. Alright, before we begin a new game, I think everyone knows this one. We don't need to bring in Fluff for this, but if you hold the control stick, you can move the 64 around, and you'll find everyone is just entranced by it. Never gets old to me all these years later, but alright, we've got a galaxy to save, so let's get into it. You have all the different options here, training obviously, but I think if you're watching this Star Fox 64 walkthrough, you're okay without that, versus the different games you can play with 2, 3, or 4 players. And you can check out your rankings from the past with the ranking tab, but let's dive right into it and get some context here. This was certainly one of the earliest Nintendo games which was fully voice acted. Just really blew me away as a kid. Super Mario 64 blew me away visually, but it was the storytelling and of course the gameplay as well, which made Star Fox 64 so special, and the voice acting is a big part of that. I think you know the story by now, but if you're not, you can read that. But while we're getting some context, let's take a look at the controls for Star Fox 64. See, A is the main button of note that fires your laser. You can hold it down to lock onto your enemy and then tap it again to fire a quick burst, which will track them. Useful when you're trying to bail out your other wingmen. Hit B to launch a bomb. Note that you can also hold down A and then use B to target a bomb on your target. Movement with the stick, note that it's inverted, so down is up, up is down. C buttons are important in this game. Left C is your afterburner. Hold down C to brake. You can change your view with up C and receive a message when Rob calls by hitting right C. And then note the special moves you can do, the double tap Z or R, as Peppy will explain, to do a barrel roll. And then we can flip the stick down and then hit left or down C to do a somersault and U-turn respectively. The U-turn is only in the 3D environment. We can also move the camera around here in the Lylat system, but let's begin with Corneria as we get a briefing from General Pepper here.
It's about time you showed up, Fox. You're the only hope for our world.
Good to know. We'll keep that in mind when we're invoicing you later. Thank you, General Pepper. That's right, Andross won't have his way with us, but yes, getting into it. I always appreciate that we're the good guys, but we're also doing a job. We're mercenaries to an extent. The invoice at the end, the literal invoice, if you're not familiar with this game, just makes me laugh. We'll have a good time with that later, but Everyone checks in at the start and end of most missions here. And it's very important in this first mission.
Check your G-diffuser system.
Just the cinematography, I love the camera movements here. The voice acting, it just gave the game a cinematic quality, which, I don't know, I hadn't really seen in a Nintendo game to this point. Probably more present on the PlayStation, but I always felt like the dialogue here should be a bit more technical. We asked you about your G-diffuser, an integral part of the R-Wing's construction, and it sounds like we asked Slippy, how you doing? I should have peed before I left the Great Fox. A little hungry, but yeah, I'll be alright. But I digress, class. We're into the game. We covered the controls. Let's take a look at the Briggs notes for the Star Fox 64 walkthrough, the keys to beating this game. First and foremost, we mention this acronym every now and then here on Video Games 101, but ABF, always be firing. There are countless throngs of Andross's cronies coming after you here in Star Fox 64, and I'm not gonna lie, class, Turbo goes a long way in helping you take out a lot of enemies on certain stages of this game. I like the classic clear Mad Catz number, which lets you toggle Turbo on and off at will, but strictly speaking, not necessary, but it does help. Number 2, UBB, usually be braking with that down C, so you have more time to react, more time to kill more enemies on the screen. Very useful in certain boss battles, as Gary will talk about. Number 3, use your bombs wisely. Always good to have 2, maybe 3 bombs in your supply there at the top right for rainy day situations when you need to bail out one of your wingmen when they're being attacked, or if you just want to clear a screen of a lot of enemies at once, the most efficient way to rack up a lot of kills. And then lastly, you're already doing it. Follow this guide for all the routes, the numbers you need for every stage, all the secrets. So this first stage, Corneria, the number to unlock the medal is 150 kills. Well, I say kills, but it's really points. Certain enemies, when you take them down, they're worth more, like this robot on the left. On its own, just worth 1 point, but you get a 5-point bonus for taking them down. You also get a bonus when you take out multiple enemies with one burst shot, which you can again do by just holding down that A button and then targeting something and then tapping it again. So we got a little bonus right there. The number can be a little finicky. We'll talk more about that moving forward, but so this first stage of Corneria, there are 2 ways to beat this level, and depending on which one you do, this will affect which route you ultimately take. We're going to go with the normal route because we are taking the easier stage route first as we go in order, but there are 2 requisites for getting the secret exit for this stage, to kind of put it in Super Mario World terms. First, save Falco from those enemies which were attacking him, which we just did. Just fire at them either with one of your charged bursts, which locks onto them, or just shoot them out. You can use your left C button to hit that afterburner and catch up to them a little more easily. And then the second requisite is going through all these loops. Again, I'm going to skip that 1 or 2 loops right there so that Falco doesn't force us into taking the hidden exit for this stage. We'll do that a little bit later. So let's use Peppy's advice. Flip that stick down and press the left C button to collect all these items right here. And for the first time today, let's go to our resident boss expert, Gary.
It's Scary Gary's Boss Beaters. Alright, the first boss here in Star Fox 64 on the easy route, Granga, the easiest boss in the game. Just focus on firing out one of those legs at the start of the battle. This will cause him to fall over, at which point he can't even move. Just do a U-turn after you create a little space between you and that boss. Come on back, fire into his back. You can generally take him down with 1 pass if you get enough shots in. Very easy first boss.
Thank you very much, Gary. Always love exploiting that little by design hack right there. Nintendo doesn't mess around with their bosses. As a general rule, I think. Most of their, Mario games, certainly Zelda games, and I would say Star Fox falls in that category as well. There's some enjoyable bosses to take down here in Star Fox 64.
I'm fine. You okay over there, Pak?
They'll kind of tailor those messages depending on how much damage everybody took during that mission right there. So you'll notice we did not hit the requisite 150 points for that first stage. It's much easier to hit that number if you go the secret route, which we'll do on the second pass. So put a pin in Corneria for the moment as we move on to the asteroid field. Meteo, specifically. I should note that the amount of health which your wingmen get back is tied to how many points you rack up during that stage. So in some of the later stages, or one in particular where we'll get over 300 points in the stage, you can almost max out any damaged wingmen at the end of that stage. So just something to keep in mind, a little extra incentive to take down as many baddies as possible in every stage, medals aside. So the magic number here on Tella's favorite stage, Meteo, for those who get the reference. Maybe that wouldn't be his favorite stage. Maybe they'll just bum him out and remind him of, well, I don't want to give any spoilers away for Final Fantasy IV/2, but yeah, 200 is the magic number here in Meteo to get our medal, and good opportunity to use some bombs early on to take out a lot of these asteroids. Take out maybe 10 on average per bomb, so it's nice to maybe knock out the first 30 of your points before you even get out of this initial area. Something else important to note is that bombs unaccountably do not hurt your wingmen. Firing at them with your laser will hurt them, but the bombs do not, so that's why I mentioned in the Briggs note, specified that if they're under attack and you can't get a clear shot without maybe hurting them yourself, just launch a bomb off or track them with your target right here, holding down that A button, and then launching the bomb at those enemies to quickly clear them out and save your wingmen's bacon right there. I can say that, we don't have Pigma on the team, but anyway. So aggressive when he says that. Let's bring in Blaze now to give us an overview of these items we're somersaulting into here in Star Fox 64.
Alright, let's talk the items you'll find as pickups here in Star Fox 64. First, we have the Silver Ring. This refills roughly 10% of the full size of your health bar. We have the pointy variety of this, which refills about 50% of the regular size of your health bar, so quite a bit more. And then we have the Golden Rings. These are the same as those silver supply rings, but if you collect 3 of these, they will refill / also increase your health bar by up to roughly 50%. And if you get 3 more on top of that, you'll earn yourself an extra life. By the way, there are extra life symbols, which you can find in just a couple stages in this game for what it's worth, but relatively very rare. But moving on, we have the Smart Bomb. I'll pick these up to obviously launch an extra bomb. These cap at 9, so keep that in mind. Fire away. We have the laser upgrade. You start out with the single, pick one of these up, you go to the twin. One more takes you to the hyper, which is obviously the most powerful. And we have the repair kit right there. If you've lost one or both of your wings, pick this up to get your wings back. Note, anytime you lose a wing, you'll go back to that single laser for what it's worth, so try to avoid damage whenever possible. Duh, right, Blaze? And then finally, the container. A lot of times Rob will drop one of these if you pick up the phone. And yeah, this just has a special item, one of which we've already covered. Sometimes generally what you need most in that situation, but there you go, the items of Star Fox 64.
Thank you, Blaze. Speaking of picking up the phone, we had Rob call us while Blaze was covering the items. Just tap that right C button when you get the call.
I guess it's your turn to be thanked.
No, it's something about Falco's passive aggressiveness that I always dug. He was always my favorite after Fox. So the killer bees here, you can either afterburner really close to them and put those shots into them. You can also hit the brakes a couple times and basically be out of the range of their very dangerous loops. So a couple options there. And there, we're not even going to waste any time. Let's just launch that bomb and get those enemies off of a unusually cocky Slippy's rear right there. Alright, so a lot going on in this next section. First, we can use these burst shots on these clusters of enemies to get a serious bonus. It's a +7 when you get them in a perfect ring right there. So this is a great way to get to our 200. By the way, we flew right by it because, again, we're trying to stick to the easy route here, but if you fly through all of these 7 kind of circular warp gates right here, this will allow you to warp ahead to Katina, and actually opportunity to make a lot of points as well when you're in that kind of warp area right here. As you can see, lots of, I guess you want to call them asteroids. I don't know, like asteroids if you're tripping on drugs or something, but lots of opportunities to more than meet that 200 goal if you do want to warp ahead. But again, sticking to the easy route right here. So we skipped the warps and coming up on the boss now, which will just allow us to hit that 200. So let's go back to Gary.
Boss beater. All right, the Meteo Crusher. Quite a bit more difficult than that last boss. Probably one of the more annoying bosses in the game because it takes a little while. You gotta wait for each of those little yellow triangles to appear in that one opening. As it turns around, just fire them out. And then once you take out that fourth one, note that that little shield will come off. Just go for that little gap, which was exposing the triangles to slip through there and avoid damage. And at this point, you just want to fire at that core, bright and yellow when it's visible. Just watch out for the beams, just dodge left or right to avoid those and get those shots in. And with most bosses in this game, if you take them out fast enough, you'll get a plus 10 bonus as well. So that can put you over the top in that medal count in some cases, so you can hit that threshold. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, these strategies in general will always teach you how to take down these bosses as quickly as possible. But there you go, Meteo Crusher.
Thank you, Gary. And as they try the fake me out move here.
Listen to that monkey.
No, it's a literal monkey. No, we're not going to listen to that monkey. I don't even know how we could. We just like fly away at that point. All right. But yeah, you can see the turbo working for us.
I can't believe I lost to this. Oh!
Some of the best voice acting.
Sorry to jet, but I'm in a hurry.
Not the most original of lines right there from Fox, but very satisfying nonetheless. Certainly to the child version of me. But yeah, some of the best voice acting in this game comes from the bosses throughout. Point out some of our favorite lines as we move along. Yep, Peppy got a little rocked, but that's alright. We got 200 points. That's alright, Falco. Was trying to earn his respect right there. I know he's considered to be one of the best pilots in the Lylat system. That's why Fox tracked him down. You can see the 200 pretty much topped everybody off in our party right here. Not that I'm too concerned as we pick up our first medal. Again, we're going to pick that 150 for Corneria up on our second pass through in a little bit. But we move on now to Fortuna, the former defense post.
From the enemy army.
Roger, General.
Makes me wonder if General Pepper actually has any forces, or if it's really just hiring out to Star Fox.
Split up.
Not the worst idea, honestly, but we have our first Star Wolf sighting here in just a moment here on Fortuna. The number here, by the way, on Fortuna, very fair, just 50 points, and you can actually get most of those just by taking down the members of Star Wolf in a timely fashion. You'll note that the bursts, which lock on to enemies, they only register with the game if you have them on screen for the most part. Like, that was obviously going to hit that ship, but if the camera's not, you know, just about 100% has that enemy making contact with your burst, then yeah, it's probably not going to count. It's not going to kill them, so a little frustrating, just like sometimes the bonuses which appear on the screen don't actually get reflected in your total on the left. Point out some instances of that. Essentially, it's supposed to be every single ship that you take down with one of those bursts, plus the bonus which shows up on the screen. So if you take down 3 enemies and you get a +3 bonus, it should be a +6 going to your total overall, but that's not always the case. Thought you needed help. I'm sorry. You can see the help pop up right there. Usually indicates that there's an enemy, or usually in Slippy's case, 2 or 3 enemies on their tail. So around this point, Slippy will wonder aloud why ships are coming out of the base, and we'll get the heads up from Rob that there's a bomb in the base. And before we can go in and take care of it, Starwolf is going to make their dramatic entrance here from the sky. So let's get tips on taking down the members of Starwolf once again with Gary.
Boss beater. Alright, Starwolf, this is the Fortuna version where they're much easier than other instances of Starwolf in this game. But the strategy with them always remains the same. It's kind of a strategy I like to use on most bosses in this game, especially when you're in the free roaming kind of point of view perspective like we have right here. So essentially you just want to put as much distance between yourself and your target as possible. When you hit them, they'll do a panic move, or they'll try to do a flip or a U-turn. If you're far enough away, you can still stay behind them, keeping them in front of you, essentially, and they won't have any more fuel in their tank to make another move before you can take them down. So just spray away with your laser, take them down, repeat this for the other 3 targets. The rest of your Star Fox teammates are useless, as is usually the case in this battle, so take them all down. Good luck.
Thank you, Gary. And yeah, as he mentioned earlier, the faster we take them down, the bigger the bonus we will get. So each one of these is worth 11 if you take them down quickly enough. So the 10 plus 1. So on their own, that's 44 points right there, leaving you just needing to take down 6 of the regular enemies on your own. So that 50 to metal Fortuna, not too difficult if you use Gary's boss beater strategy right there. One of my favorite shots right here. Camera shots just framed perfectly. The 3 wingmen right there, and then Fox coming up right from the bottom.
Hey, we made it!
Yes, we made it, Slippy. Not sure what that meant. I don't feel like we got wrecked too badly there. I don't think it was that close. I think everybody is okay. We're not going to get that much health back because we only got 50 points from that, so you can see that didn't move the needle a whole lot on Slippy, who was just under halfway with his health to begin with, but they're pretty generous with the time they give you to take out Starwolf and then ultimately disarm that bomb, but eventually a countdown will appear, and if you don't take out Starwolf in a timely manner, then you'll head straight to Sector X. If you do, like we did it, manage to take down Starwolf, they'll send you to Solar. But again, once again, we're sticking with the easy route, so we're going to change our route and head to Sector X here, as if that bomb had gone off. And we're going to deal with Andross's secret weapon here in Sector X. I should mention, like that they keep that good luck from the first game, but I should mention Sector X has the most variety of different routes which you can exit from it, essentially. There's 3 different outcomes here in this stage. 2 of them have to do with how quickly you take down the boss, and then there's 1 more warp, which we'll show you midway through this stage. Speaking of this stage, the number to metal here on Sector X is 150. You can use a bomb here early on when you're just surrounded by enemy fighters flying in. Again, turbo helps as well. And then midway through the stage, want to switch to using a lot of bursts to get a bonus here and there, especially from a little turret section we're going to come up upon eventually. It's a good place to get some bonuses when the enemies are all clustered together and those bursts are close enough. This is where you might want to use a bomb. I think we're going to be just fine getting through without it, but just get that itchy trigger finger when I see so many enemies lumped up at once. You can use your afterburner to get through those bombs before they explode. You can also use one of your own bombs to get a lot of points out of clearing that minefield back there. So midway through this stage, you're going to come upon a junction. We have a killer bee right here. You get 4 points out of it, so. And sometimes the faster you take those down, if you do it fast enough, you'll get another one taking its place. Might want to hit the brakes here. This is going to open up, given enough time, and mine the giant arm, which comes out there. I like to save my bomb for right here, when Peppy's just getting it from that little cluster of enemies right there. But we have a junction coming up. If you head to the left, you'll follow Falco, and you can get to the potential warp area, which we'll show you, but we're going to take the right path, which is easier. Anytime you go the path which Falco's not going, that's the easier path. Falco always seems to take the more difficult path. And don't worry about getting to the 150. We'll have plenty of opportunities taking this route right here. Just go for all of these little clusters right here. But yeah, if you head to the left, you got to shoot 4 of these gates like we're showing, and then pass through the gates. Once you shoot through that 4th door and it opens up and you go through, you'll go through another warp area right here. A lot more dangerous than the last one. It can be a little tricky avoiding all of the just the variety of scaffolding or space scaffolding. I don't know what you want to call that stuff. Trippy space scaffolding. Lots of little missiles here too, which are all worth 1 point each. Certainly take any bombs we can get at this point. Don't like being tapped. As I mentioned, always good to have a couple in the tank, but Peppy's got his own little fan club follow him there. That got us over the 150 mark. Don't even have to worry about the plus 11 we'll get from this boss if we take him down fast enough. Speaking of beating him in time, if we don't, Slippy, who hasn't shown up this entire mission, which is by design, yeah, if you take too long on the boss, then Slippy gets smacked down to the planet where we'll have to rescue him. Even if you lost him in the last stage, he'll still show up for that reason, but it's worth mentioning that that dictates where we'll be headed next, how this boss battle goes, how quickly we take him down. So drop down here and let this boss fly over top of you. Get a variety of sci-fi references from this boss, but let's get some tips on how to take him down with Gary.
Boss beaters. Right, Spyborg. Another frustrating boss, and that you just gotta wait for that head to be facing you so that the eyes are facing you. That's your target of opportunity. Fire away at that. It's one of the more narrow targets out of the bosses. You gotta hold down on that control stick to keep yourself relatively high and just maintain that as steady as possible to get those shots in. Dodge those projectiles, and then the second phase, it's the same thing. He likes to play possum there for a second, but not difficult in the least if you follow this strategy.
Thank you, Gary. Another boss who likes to play possum here. This one kind of creeped me out a little bit with the finger wag. And just talking nonsense. Kind of freaked me out as a kid. Mind the giant beams, but there you go. Kind of feel sorry for whatever the heck that was. But we are moving on to Titania now. Actually, we would be moving on to Macbeth because we beat that boss in a timely manner. If you don't, and the boss slaps down Slippy, he'll get knocked down to the surface of the nearest planet, Titania, and we have to go rescue him. That's what we're going to do anyway, but so yeah, if you just basically don't take this boss out quickly enough, then you'll be forced to carrying on with the easy route, which we're going to show you next as we get our first tank mission here in Star Fox 64. So the controls for the tank are just a little bit different. We still have bombs and we can still charge up our laser, but instead of doing a barrel roll by double tapping Z or R, we'll just do a literal kind of roll on the ground, the surface which we're rolling along, and then hold Z and R together, and you can hover for a little bit as long as you got the engine boost left in the tank before it has to recharge.
It's too dangerous there.
I can't leave Slippy hanging.
Slippy's like, I'm right here, Fox. Search for Slippy there, though. Got a nice Star Trek reference, search for Spock. Yeah, I don't know how they explain that away. Again, it was our choice to change our route right there. We're taking the Landmaster down to the surface. That's the thing I don't understand. We use unlimited boost, seemingly, to get back to the Great Fox at the end of this mission. Again, 150 is the number for Titania, and this is one of the more difficult ones to actually hit that quota. I meant to hit the burners there. Turbo really helps for loading up these giant turtle-looking enemies and just hitting their underbellies to get a +4 right there total. The more of those you can get, the better. Also want to put together as many of those proximity combo bonuses as possible, and there's some laser turrets a little bit later on as well, which can net you some extra points. But yeah, it's hard going in this mission. Probably want to be riding those brakes, that second Briggs note, to maximize the time you have with your target. Like this case right here, probably not going to have enough. Yeah, a little off timing with the brakes right there. But anyway, while you're following along, let's go to Fluff for the first time today to finally get our first Fluff fact about Star Fox 64. Fluff?
Star Fox 64 is a 1997 part rail, part 3D sandbox space shooter for Nintendo 64 from Nintendo, and acts as a reboot of the original 1993 Super Nintendo rail shooter, Star Fox. As was the case with a lot of games early on in the Nintendo 64's development cycle, the designers of Star Fox 64 had difficulty getting off the ground, if you can forgive the pun. Nintendo programmer Kazuaki Morita didn't have any experience with 3D programming, so he and the original Star Fox artist and character designer Takaya Imamura began tinkering with the idea of porting the original Star Fox to the N64, partly as an experiment to acclimate themselves with the 3D world of Nintendo's upcoming next-generation console. They had issues particularly at the start, considering they didn't have any N64 hardware to work off of, as everything Nintendo had was being exclusively used by the Super Mario 64 team, a game we just did a recent class on, incidentally, which you can check out via the playlist in the description. I shared a similar anecdote during our class on GoldenEye 007, as Rare's team behind the game had the same difficulties early on, whereas GoldenEye's team had to use modified Sega Saturn controllers early on in their development, and not being able to get a hold of N64 hardware either. Morita and Imamura had to use modified SNES controllers in the early days of their production. As their experiments began to take shape in the form of what would be a unique reboot of Star Fox for the N64, the higher-ups at Nintendo were still skeptical until the pair shared their progress at the fittingly named 1995 Nintendo Space World, an annual Nintendo video game trade show for showing off new content, which ran from 1989 to 2001. Nintendo was impressed at the pair's dedication and finally greenlit the project shortly after, and Star Fox series creator Shigeru Miyamoto and other Nintendo staff would subsequently join and help finish the project in time for its 1997 release. With its tight gameplay and visuals, coupled with its immersive and effective storytelling, Star Fox 64 is considered to be one of the best titles on the N64, and with sales of roughly 4 million units, it's also one of the top 10 best-selling 64 games of all time.
Thank you, Fluff. Deservedly so. And we have just made it. 146. We're going to eke this one out, but yeah. As long as we get there, that's the only thing that matters. And hey, we found Slippy, who wasn't really lost to begin with, but just play along, class. Anytime, Slip, anytime. And he pulls him underground right there, but don't worry, I'm sure he'll resurface in a second. Otherwise, we have an opening and start. Oh, there he is, okay.
Let me get a piece of that action, Fox.
I'll believe it when I see it. I think we're better off going back to Gary.
Boss beaters. Alright, Goras, the first boss you can face in the tank here in Star Fox 64. Just keep firing at the arms. Don't worry about hitting Slippy, by the way. He can take it. Once you take down all the arms, that chest becomes the weak spot. Just plug away. You can do those rolls, double tap Z or R to avoid those laser shots, but not a difficult boss.
Good call, Gary. Thank you very much. Just shedding parts here. The more shots we get into them, that's certainly one strategy. Just start throwing your bones at us. There you go, you can see how quickly the turbo just rips them apart. And there's our plus 10, getting us over that finish line again. One of the more difficult medals to pick up here in Star Fox 64.
All aircraft report.
Titania.
I thought I was a goner.
Gonna be good to get back in the
You're
air.
always saving your hide, Slip.
I'm glad somebody said it.
I'm sure he's learned his lesson.
Somebody's got to be like, what lesson? I was fine at the end of that last mission, but...
Head to Venom.
Alright, headed to Venom for the first time. Everybody's at full health, looking good. And this is the part I question right here. The seemingly unlimited boost which we suddenly have as we lift off right here and enter the Great Fox. It's just flying off without us. Satisfying medal to pick up right there, though, as we move on to the Bolse Defense Outpost. The last guard line before Venom right here, at least coming in the easy route. So the medal number here is 150, and you actually, if you didn't destroy Starwolf at Fortuna and the base was destroyed, then you will run into them again here. They'll actually have the same amount of health that they had when you didn't finish them off, and that can actually help you medal this one. We'll talk about that in a moment. For tips on how to take down what is essentially a boss, here's Gary.
Boss beaters. All right, the Bolse core. If you run into Starwolf here, you can either engage with the same strategies we talked about before, or you could ignore them altogether and just focus on the base. Take it down, you'll take them down, but regarding the base itself, you want to go clockwise around, just breaking the whole time, taking out those towers so that the base is no longer protected. At this point, the core will eventually come out of that middle, and you'll have a bunch of those bright yellow targets to go after. Put a lot of distance between yourself and the core with each pass. Keep firing, you'll take it down.
Thank you, Gary. We can't take out any of the ships until we take down the final tower, but I'm just going ahead before I do that and cleaning up some of these little turrets. Yes, I just said that, Slippy, thank you. Yeah, just taking out, there's a pair of turrets around each one of these towers, because once we take out this last one of the towers, which each of which is worth 4 points, it's 1 plus the 3 bonus which they give you, that's when we're sort of on the timer for the most part for getting the plus 10 for each of the weak spots of this core right here. And that's very Independence Day right there. Not the first reference they'll make to that movie. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, one of my favorite stages, but Father was always bailing me out too. I was kind of useless back then too, I think that's his way of saying that. So we're not really concerned about the other members of Star Fox right here. We want to get as many points as possible. For what it's worth, there are 8 points on the core, 8 targets, which you can take down, each of which is worth 1 plus 10, so 11 from each of those. So if you have 62 points from the ships, the towers, little turrets, everything else on this stage, then you can go ahead and clean up. I like that 3 spot. Just let Slippy on his own for long enough, then he'll put together a nice combo opportunity for you. Don't tell him I said that. But yeah, if you come here and you let Star Fox survive at Fortuna and have them destroy the base, then this is a lot easier to hit that target because you'll have the plus 10 from each of them, plus 55 overall. Yeah, just come in, as Gary mentioned, and once you take out a few of those, Rob will always call you automatically. And I kind of lost track of how many we have left over at this point. I think there might be maybe 2 more targets on that thing we could take down, so if I could grab another, I think there's just 1 more from now, so if we could grab another 12 kills before the bonus drops down to a plus 5, that would be good. Nice big cluster of enemies right there. We're going for the combos right now, otherwise I just launch a bomb, plus there's just not enough enemies to really justify it. Just 3 more points and we can go ahead and finish off that core. Getting a little nervous. Don't want that bonus. Bless you, Slippy. Bless your ineptitude. Alright, now we can move in and we'll take it. I'm not sure how we ended up hitting the core right there, but that last one managed to find our laser or vice versa. I love the Christmas vibe of the red and green coming off of what used to be the Bolse defense outpost. But now that that's taken down, we are moving straight into Venom. We medaled all of the courses here on the easy route. And the requisite number to medal on Venom is 200 points. And kind of similar to Corneria, this is an easier target to hit if you come in with the hard route, the back entrance as it were to Venom. So we're not going to go for the 200 right here. We're just going to try to survive this. Not too difficult, pretty straightforward. But when you come in the back route, that's when you take on Starwolf with the hard route. And every time you take down one of the members of Starwolf, you get 50 points right there. You get a 50 bonus. So if you do it quickly enough, very easy to take down the 4 of them and reach that 200-point plateau. So we're going to hold off on the metal, and pretty straightforward. Just don't take too many hits, take out the enemies. Not a whole lot of strategy involved, but let's go back to Fluff while we're just on autopilot here and get some more Fluff facts about Star Fox 64. Fluff?
As the professor mentioned, Star Fox 64 was one of the first Nintendo titles to be fully voice acted. Before hiring professional voice actors, the development team behind Star Fox 64 actually tried voicing the characters themselves. Apparently this was very poorly received when they shared this test version, so they settled on professional voice actors instead. Though professional might be a stretch for some of the cast, considering in some cases this game was their first and or only credit. Even with the voice acting, some sales reps purportedly didn't care for the overdub and suggested replacing it with the original animal sounds from the SNES title. After this tested poorly, the developers thankfully went back and stuck with the overdub. The one exception with no voice acting is Yaru Depon, a Tanuki, yep, as in Tanuki Mario, who appears for the tutorial and according to lore is the president of Space Dynamics, the company behind the preferred craft of Star Fox, the R-Wing, and even employs Slippy's dad, Beltino Toad, and is even rumored to secretly deal weapons to Andross on the side. That's a surprising amount of depth for seemingly such a throwaway character, let me tell ya.
Thank you, Fluff. Yeah, I forgot all about that character, honestly. Probably because I haven't done the tutorial since I first played this game for the first time as a kid in 1997. Kind of bothers me when Andross calls. You know, you're expecting a nice pickup from Rob. Just Andross there to troll us. Speaking of the voice acting, some of the lines that come out of Falco's mouth. Yeah, speaking of which, just a second ago, Falco yelled at me, "Hey Einstein, I'm on your side." Apparently a lot of players took issue with this, not wanting to believe that Star Fox and Einstein would exist in the same universe. So they, when they made Star Fox 3D, the remake in 2011, they took that line out, replaced it with, I think, "Hey Genius, I'm on your side." I can appreciate that, though. Kind of a similar thing they did with Super Mario RPG, which we covered, but anyway, Gary?
Boss beaters. Alright, GoleMech, here the priority is to dodge those obstacles, those poles and everything which keep coming out of the walls. Just thread those needles, as the professor says, and then fire away at any body parts you can find which are taking damage on GoleMech. The legs, the arms, the back of the head, eventually the core. Eventually you'll take him down, and it's on to Andross.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, not too difficult. Hardest part is dodging the obstacles like you mentioned. I think they give you maybe 7 or 8 minutes before eventually this path just dead ends and you lose a life. Because they figured this kid's having enough trouble as it is, just put him out of his misery. But yeah, Super Mario RPG was the same thing in the SNES version. They had a lot of lines in there which you'd have to suspend your disbelief that the two exist in the same universe. They kind of cleaned some of that up for the remake as well, but just makes me laugh. Be very careful here going through the tunnels. It's a different setup than the tunnels which we go through when we're coming in the back entrance on the more difficult route. This is completely linear. You just have to avoid the obstacles on the way. Use some of the tilt by holding down L or R to avoid the odd laser beam and things like that. Alright, let's not get personal here. Gary?
Boss beaters. Alright, Andross, no matter what route you take to get to him, this first part is always the same. You want to fire at those eyes. Once you stun him, one of his hands or both hands will be exposed, but I like to go with the one which is open. Makes for an easier target. It's always the opposite side of the eye you took out. Once that hand is gone, repeat on the other eye, and then go for that other hand. Take that down, shoot him in the eyes once again, and then the second form of this will vary depending on which route you took to get to Andross, the harder or easier Venom route. But here in the easier one, the second form, It's very simple, just shoot at the eyes, he'll go down before you know it. You can dodge if you need to get out of the way of his charge, but if you're turbo firing, you'll probably take him down before he even gets that off. And there you go, the easy ending for Star Fox 64.
Thank you very much, Gary, as we enjoy our epic, dramatic escape there at the end for the easier ending right here. Pretty similar to the more difficult route and best ending, with some exceptions which we'll show you, but we're going to go ahead and fast forward through this ending. Ultimately, let's just see what our finishing score was. Always nice when you can clear 1,000 points. By the way, you get an extra life every 100 points which you accrue as they add those into your score at the end. So let's jump ahead until the very end of this ending, where we can see Andross taunting us in the sky, as if to say, try one of the more difficult routes, you chicken wuss. Which we're going to do, because we give in to peer pressure here on Video Games 101. So let's re-rack it back in the first stage, and we'll show you how to actually get the requisite 150 points on Corneria by going through the secret exit of that stage. But not before we get to see one of my favorite parts of this game, the invoice to General Pepper. See what his reaction is. 1027, I'm going to put that around mid-60s. Yeah, there you go, 65.
Steep bill, but it's worth it.
That's one steep bill, but it's worth it. We'll see if we can't take his breath away with the next invoice we sent his way. As we begin a new game, this time we are going to sweep through the middle route. You can see we've meddled the entirety of the bottom. This time we're going to knock out Corneria and the Venom medals as well, along with all of those middle planets one at a time.
I'll do my best. And
So this time we are going to take that secret route, and the requisites for this are, again, keeping Falco alive when he gets those enemies on his tail midway through the stage, and then subsequently going through all 7 of those arches, which I pointed out during the easy path. And again, hitting that 150 is much easier when you take that secret path. I said there's probably an extra maybe 20 points to be had if you go that way. Not to say that you can't get it on the normal route, but yeah, just a few more points to be had. So we're going to be going for the 150 this time. But since we've already seen most of this stage, let's go to Fluff for another Fluff fact while we're heading towards those arches and the secret exit from this stage. But Fluff, got another one for us?
How about some facts about the characters of Star Fox 64 themselves? The decision to make the main character a fox came in equal parts by the Fushimi Inari Taisha Shrine near Nintendo Star Fox development team's offices in Kyoto, which featured a number of fox statues. But also the fact that Star Fox series creator Shigeru Miyamoto just thought foxes were cool, inspired by a local baseball team in the area from years ago called the Inari Foxes. Like how much of the Star Fox universe was influenced to an extent by Star Wars, not to mention countless other sci-fi properties, Fox McCloud's namesake was loosely inspired by the original Star Wars trilogy's lead character, Luke Skywalker. The Professor's favorite member of the group, not named Fox, Falco Lombardi's namesake, was inspired by a Hollywood special effects designer, Carlo Rambaldi, who worked on a number of sci-fi films amongst other genres like Alien and E.T., winning the Oscar for Best Visual Effects for his work on both films. Falco was originally designed to be a pheasant, as this was another character with a place in Japanese folklore, before they gave him a sleeker falcon look. The oft-derided and in need of a bailout Slippy Toad was inspired by an overzealous co-worker of Miyamoto's who, in his words, purportedly used the toad like a personal mascot, writing ribbit on all his memos. As the professor already mentioned, Slippy Toad and Peppy Hare are the 2 sole members of the Star Fox team, whose surnames are their species, whereas Falco and Fox's first names are obvious nods to that in their cases. General Pepper's name is a thinly veiled reference to the Beatles' 1967 record, which many call the greatest album of all time, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And most importantly, Cat Monroe is a pink-furred cat who bravely comes to bail out the Star Fox team in a couple of spots. She and Falco have a history from their days in a space gang together called Free as a Bird. And it's heavily implied that she's got a thing for Falco, by the way. And yes, I crushed on Cat Monroe hard back in the day. By the way, Free as a Bird is one more Beatles reference in this case to their song of the same name, which they actually released during their development of Star Fox 64 during the surviving members' very brief 1995 collaboration. I guess Miyamoto was a big Beatles fan, Professor.
Imamura as well. Thank you, Fluff. So you could see, meeting those requirements, we automatically followed Falco through there. We're at 148, so this boss will get us over. Gary.
Boss beaters. Great attack carrier. Kind of the hidden boss here on this first stage of Star Fox 64 for going the different route. You want to focus on that right segment first. When it opens up, just plug away. It'll break off. At this point, you have two segments on the left, the top and the bottom. Focus on one and fire away until it drops off, then repeat that with the other one. Don't really have to worry about too many projectiles. Most of them will be destroyed when they're coming towards you as you just keep firing. Once those left parts are off, just fire away at the core in the center, you'll take it down.
Thank you, Gary. Love this exchange. Just the shock of the boss. Who are you guys? We're Star Fox. Great delivery from Fox right there, and that plus 11 put us over the 150 requisite, so we've now medaled Corneria. And again, I don't think I necessarily played any better that second time, but it's just a product more of following Falco's route and getting those extra opportunities. I think I mentioned this earlier, but there are kind of miniature opportunities within certain stages where the path branches. Doesn't necessarily lead to a different stage at the end of that, but just different ways to go. We had one earlier, I think maybe Sector X, where you could go left or right, and if you went left, that would be Falco's way, and generally speaking, there's maybe a bit more opportunity to earn some points in the quote-unquote harder route within that stage. But so now we head on to Sector Y. Only two branches from Corneria, either Meteo or Sector Y, depending on how you beat it there.
Help us out here.
I'm on my way.
Do you have your own arm? I think I already asked this, but just General Pepper just comes off as being very incompetent throughout this entire game. We treat it to a nice, got the Shogun robots right there, so that was probably one of the good guys' massive freighters or warships right there that they just dismantled. So I guess they do have their own army, they're just incompetent. So we show up now, and the number here on Sector Y is once again 150. For the purposes of this Star Fox 64 walkthrough, I guess we got 2 cracks at earning that 150, so not going to sweat it necessarily if we don't meet that requisite this first time around. Generally, a good tip is to use your bombs in the upcoming minefield, but there's also a lot of opportunities to get little bonuses here and there for clustered up enemies. A lot of missiles to shoot a little bit later as well, so a lot of turrets. Good opportunity to use a bomb right there as well. And there. You have a lot of instances in this game, then you have the up or bottom route right here. Not too much of a difference. Here we just have flying in ships, which we can't bonus up on, unfortunately. A lot of instances in this game where there's just too many enemies that are spread out to take them all out, targeting them or just hitting them with your lasers, which is why the bombs are necessary in some cases for clearing the screen. Hitting the brakes here, and sometimes you might want to boost to make sure you don't miss any of these. A whole lot of opportunities. We got the checkpoint right here. Again, this refills about half of your small bar of health right there when you're at the normal size. There's some of those Shogun enemies that we saw
I've got everything above.
earlier on. And there's one of those split paths right there. Whole mess of Shoguns in the distance here as they spread out. We do have that minefield coming up. Might hang on to my bombs this first time and prioritize them for the harder pass through because, again, from Corneria, there's only the 2 breaking off paths. So you're going to be coming through this, either this or Meteo, at least twice if you're trying to go every single route in this game. Well, strictly speaking, there's, I want to say, about 25 different routes you can take, just between all the different branching out paths from different stages everywhere in this game. We're obviously only going to be showing you 3 routes, but again, showing you all the different requisites for taking different shortcuts and different branching paths. You can put together your own favorite route. I certainly have mine. For instance, the requisite for continuing on, as Falco's kind of referencing it here, continuing on with the hard route, you need to get 100 points here in Sector Y. I mentioned 150 is the medal number, but yeah, if you get 100, then you can continue on to Aquas, which is the next of the difficult stages in that route. Good way to pick up some points here at the end is to make sure you're getting one of your burst shots targeting the middle one. You can get a +3 in addition to taking out a whole mess of enemies right there, as we got a nice little bonus. But time for the next boss. So if you're close to that 150, taking this one down quickly will net you some extra points. So, Gary?
Boss beater. Right, the Shoguns. I like my distance approach with these bosses. The first 2 of these guys aren't too difficult. They don't move around nearly as much. So just put some distance between yourself and them. Fire away, keep breaking to give yourself more time before you pass by them. You'll take them down, and then you'll get the Super Shogun, if you will. He'll come in. Same strategy, just note he's a lot faster, so yeah, the more distance you can put between you and break to give you more shots before he pulls away or you pass by him, the better. You can take him down very quickly with this strategy. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Gary. Yeah, the break is incredibly useful here in Star Fox 64. Getting in extra kills, extra damage in the cases of bosses, as Gary's mentioned, but yeah, opportunity obviously to pick up another 16 or so points there at the end. So we didn't hit our 150. We'll hit it the second time through. We did meet that requisite of 100, so they'll give us the option to head to Aquas. But this being our medium route tutorial here in Star Fox 64, we're just gonna, or a section of this walkthrough, we're gonna focus on the medium route and switch our path to what I would say is the better choice of the 2 branching paths here from Sector Y, which is heading to Katina. And I think this is a lot of players' favorite stage, or one of their favorite stages of this game, because of the obvious Independence Day references which the game makes in that stage. If you're not familiar with this stage or this game, you will see. If you've ever seen Independence Day, you'll immediately recognize what's about to happen in this next stage. Just shameless Independence Day knockoff as we change our course right here. As if we didn't reach 100 points in Sector Y.
Katina is battling the enemy. Will you help him out?
Affirmative, General.
Yeah, if you're paying. Katina frontline base. That frontline just makes me think of flea and tick prevention. All these animals. Bill, the dog here, our buddy. He and Fox have a history. Not like a romantic history, but just they've fought together in the past. Always love the character of Bill, like their chemistry. 150 is the number to medal Katina, by the way. I want to mention that. Yeah, the voice acting is especially good in this stage, if you ask me. That's a good point, Slippy. Yeah, you're probably going to accidentally kill some of the good guys. In case you can't tell, they're the ones that have the pink kind of afterburner flames at the back of their ships, and they are gray in color for the most part. We're after the very plain, black, sleeker-looking ships. Well, I don't know if they're sleeker, but... And then once you take out about 10, or you get 10 points, you'll start to see the mothership creeping in from the southwest corner of your map. And actually, the more of the good guys which survive in the end. He's so excited when he takes down a single enemy. Good for you, Slippy. We're putting up plus 300 numbers in some stages. Gotta give credit where credit's due, right, class? Good job, Slippy. But yeah, the ending animation will vary slightly depending on how many of the good guys' ships survive, or how many you take down, I suppose. How well you do overall, but yeah, Independence Day much? Let's go to our resident expert Gary on how to take it down, eh?
Boss beaters. All right, the Independence Day boss here in Star Fox 64, the Saucerer. You don't need Randy Quaid for this one. Just put some distance between yourself and those 4 panels. Take them out. If they retract up inside the spaceship, just take out some more enemies. When you take out about maybe 10 of them, or get that 10 score right there, then you'll see those panels come out again. Bill will let you know. Maybe a reference to Bill Pullman, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, take out those panels. Once they are all taken care of, the core will appear. You have 60 seconds to take it down, but plenty of time. Same strategy, just put some distance between yourself and that core. Fire away as you're coming in and breaking. You'll take them down.
Yeah, could be a reference to Bill Pullman, could be a reference to, I believe the general's name was William Bill in Independence Day, played by Robert Loggia. The great voice. Actually, in one of my favorite space combat simulators of the 90s PC series called Free Space, the second game in that series had Robert Loggia as the general, and he would brief you on a lot of your missions, and just top-notch voice acting in that game. Great storytelling. But so to get the 150 here in Katina, you're going to want to put off taking out that final hatch until relatively late. So we're going to take out 3 of the 4 early on, get those +5 bonuses on each of them. And now we're just going to focus on the individual enemies. Again, the little black ships. There's a lot of them to go around. Sometimes, you know, I don't mind taking out more of the good guys by way of launching some bombs. If I see a nice cluster of enemies all together, definitely recommend going ahead and firing one of your bombs to take out as many of those as possible. Don't get too precious with your bombs, as I just lasered one of the good guys right there. Bill's not as concerned at this stage. He knows bigger picture. Gotta break a few eggs, right? I'm sure they don't mind me using that metaphor with their lives right here. But you can see plenty of these targets of opportunity just flying around. No shortage of enemy planes flying about. I'd say the only time to really have that burst charged up is when you don't have an enemy immediately in front of you. Because most of the time there's just a lot of black planes flying right in front of you, so just switch to your normal lasers in that case. Just tap away. Use that radar screen down there to see where all those white dots are concentrated. Use your bombs accordingly. You're going to get a +10 out of the core. +11 technically. So once we get to 139, we can go ahead. We could take out that final panel at this point too. Getting close enough because they give you 60 seconds once the core appears. That's why we don't want to take out all 4 of those panels prematurely, because that puts us on a running timer where we just don't have time to get the kills that we need. You can see eventually, if you take long enough, they just say to heck with the hatches, and they just throw the core out there. So they force your hand there. You don't have unlimited time to take out this core, but we just hit our 150 regardless. So let's do what Gary said, put some distance between ourselves and the mothership. Do a little U-turn and just hit those brakes, fire away. I don't think we're going to get the full +10. This might just be like a +3 at this point. +2, yeah, that's why I was just focusing on the individual enemies at that point and not relying on, you know, just getting 139 and expecting that core to get it done. Another tricky one to hit that target on. But there you go. You'll see more or less allied ships flying around you right here, depending on how many of them you took out or were just shot down in general. If you're not really worried about that 150 and you take out the mothership immediately, then yeah, the sky will be a lot more full at this point. But yeah, man, love Bill. And not the last we'll be seeing of him, actually. He's going to show up to back you up no matter what sort of result you get from this mission. So if that countdown of 60 seconds runs out without you taking out the core, the base will be decimated. Very similar to the White House in Independence Day. And if that happens, then you'll get sent down to Sector X at that point for your 4th stage. But if you do manage to take out the ship, then you head over to Solar. So the number is 150 on Solar, and there's a lot of rocks to be destroyed. So bombs can go a long way in hitting that target of 100 to metal. But the closer you are to the surface, then the more damage your R-Wing will take. Your R-Wing is going to constantly be taking damage in this stage, but it's a matter of how far away from the surface you are. And that's why you're going to want to stay closer to the top of the screen for most of this. But that being said, there are plenty of opportunities to refill your health by way of rocks, and mostly rocks, but yeah, shootable rocks, which have lots of health regenerating items. But yeah, you can see your health is constantly taking a hit on this stage. 9,000 degrees. Then how come we're hemorrhaging health right now? Slippy. I don't know. Whose idea was it to come here anyway, but Bill's going to show up here in a second to drop some items behind his ship, which we can pick up. Some bombs, which will go a long way, again, in hitting that 100 metal. So there he is, right on cue. Speaking of Solar, Fluff, I'm told you have a Fluff fact specific to this stage. What do you got?
Despite popular opinion and belief, Solar is actually not a star in the Lylat system, but actually a red-hot planet with an exposed mantle which allows lava to flow freely to the surface, creating an ocean of lava. Imamura has confirmed this, also adding that the star of the Lylat system is invisible to the player on the map.
Thank you, Fluff. 2 great opportunities to use bombs right here. So first, use one right here, and then use one more with this giant group of birds, and you'll see they will all turn into bombs. So you can really top off your bomb count at this stage of this level. Goes a long way again in getting us over that 100 point requisite for Solar to metal. Again, plenty of opportunities to go ahead and... Yeah, what happened to the whole, this baby can withstand temperatures up to 9,000 degrees? Where'd that Slippy go? Yeah, they're going to take some damage on this regardless, unfortunately. And also unfortunate was not a lot of point opportunities in this stage, again, with metal count being 100. Not going to get a lot of health back at the end of this one. Doing pretty well on bombs at this point, though. Don't get too precious with them. This is one of those stages where taking down the boss as quickly as possible might be necessary to get you over that 100 point hump. We are right up on it with 97 right there in the end, so we're going to need to take down this boss as quickly as possible to make sure we get over that finish line. So let's get tips on how to do that with Gary.
Alright, I'm with Falco. Andross is an insane fool, creating this boss on the surface of the sun, Vulcan, but he's not very difficult. Just shoot out both of the arms until they break off, and then fire away at the head. You can shoot out the rocks that he sends your way to get yourself some extra health if the heat's starting to get to you. If he does get that massive lava wave coming at you, that lava tsunami, if you will, just go to the top of the screen, break. You can generally avoid as much damage as possible, but keep firing at that head. Enjoy one heck of a boss explosion.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, see, everybody thinks this is the sun of a Lylat system. I always thought that growing up. I'm having some trouble here, he says. Maybe you shouldn't have flown so close to the surface of the lava. Yeah, everybody's messed up at the end of this one. We're impressing Falco, though. Alright, so we'll have to be a little extra cautious in this next stage with regards to Slippy and Falco's health. But we are moving on here. We are locked in. No secret or alternate exit from Solar. We are headed straight to arguably my favorite stage in this game, one of my favorite stages, in Macbeth right here. Another Shakespeare reference. The second time that we've made a Shakespeare reference, I suppose, but this time by way of the game. The Venom Army supply base. Great idea. He seems so inept. It never occurred to General Pepper to maybe attack the enemy supply base, to hamstring their reinforcements, their supplies, those efforts. But the reason I love MechBeth so much, and by the way, the number here on MechBeth is 150. Kind of that average number for most stages, but that's the number to metal. So here in the tank, I love to hit the brakes as much as possible and take out as much of this train as possible. That's part of why I love this stage so much. If you take out these giant boulder carriers before they drop their payload of boulders on the ground, then you get all of those points for what would be taking out those boulders individually. So extra incentive to do that. And if you want to drop a bomb right there to clear them out and have a similar effect, you can go ahead and do that. But just something very satisfying. I love this boss too, or the guy in charge, I suppose, of the boss. The conductor of the train, as they kind of tilt the camera up for you to hit the skies. Just go ahead and drop a bomb to clear out most of the enemies here, and use your burst to clear out the remaining. We'll get a very nice bonus from the boss on this stage, a plus 50 if you do it the way which Gary recommends, or which we recommend in general, I suppose. So just keep that in mind. There is a requisite to beating him a certain way, which we're going to be sharing, but yeah, that basically determines which way that you leave this stage, how you take down that boss. Yeah, as Peppy mentions, as we already mentioned with the controls, Z and R together to hold those to hover. I appreciate there's a little bit of leeway too. You can hover up to the tracks right there and get behind the convoy. Makes it a little bit easier to attack the back of the train, or whatever the most recent back of the train is, if you're dismantling it piece by piece like we recommend and enjoy doing. It can be kind of difficult to get just the right shot angle right there. You can see right there we kind of hacked it a little bit. Remember, no metal if Falco or anybody checks out before we finish a stage, so anytime we see Falco in trouble again, we're gonna have to go ahead and drop a panic bomb. Generally speaking though, use our little hover right there. Generally speaking, the same member of the team doesn't ask for help or get attacked from the rear more than once in most stages, with the exception of, you know, those sandbox type levels. So we're already at 100 right here, so taking out the boss on its own with our preferred epic method. Let's dub it. That'll get us over that hump right there. So to do that, we need to shoot 8 switches, which are upcoming. And it can be a little tricky. Some of them are behind these closed doors, which you can open by shooting them. Most of them take multiple hits to open all the way. Not sure what that was, but it's probably best that we destroyed it. So follow along as we shoot all the switches and show you how to do that, but if you don't shoot them, you need to defeat the boss the more conventional way. So with tips on that, here's Gary.
Boss beaters. Alright, MechBeth. So the more satisfying way to take down this boss is to hit the 8 switches like the professor mentioned, but if you don't, you gotta take out the kite version of this boss, shooting first at the head at the top, and then the tail at the bottom. You can fire off one of your bursts at those little spear projectiles he drops into the floor. Don't even have to target them. If they're right in front of you, just hold it down for a second and launch one of those off. But yeah, roll or hover over any other projectiles that you have coming your way. But yep, not too difficult. Take them down.
Thank you very much, Gary. Yeah, we're not going to worry about targeting the actual boss themselves. We've hit the 8 switches. Now we just have to hit this switcher, which is going to open in just a second. Just mind these giant poles which appear, hitting the brakes right there and rolling will get you in position to take it down. Just shoot it once, the track switches, and we enjoy one of the most epic boss takedowns on the N64. There's your 50. One of the most epic explosions as well, with those giant pink and white spheres. Worth mentioning, there is a timer on that boss battle. If you reach the end of the track, it'll crash into you and you'll die regardless, so.
You see the look on their stupid faces?
Ooh, I like spicy Slippy. There you go.
I'm sure we heard him this time.
Definitely heard that guy, that southern accent country bear who's high up, used to be high up in Andross's army.
Our turn to kick some tail.
Heck yeah. Alright, that 150 will get Falco back about a quarter of his health. Just to give you an idea of how much each point is worth in refilling one of those health bars right there. See, gotta go north of 500 kills, or points rather, to come close to topping off one of your allies' healths at the end of a stage, but this next stage will definitely go a long way. Another one of my favorites. Probably shortlist, top 3 right here with Katina, Macbeth, and then Area 6, because this is just, it's a carnival as far as I'm concerned. This is, that's the only way I can describe this one. We're at 699 right now. The number here on Area 6 is 300. That sounds like a lot,
It's almost
and it
over.
is.
We're in
And
your
this is probably arguably the stage where Turbo, I would say, helps the most
Will do, General.
out of any stage in this game. Having that maxed out laser and then just taking it to all of the different ships,
Came in here.
part of their
No
armada.
problems.
No problem. Again, nothing technical about that in the least.
Copy. Emergency
I need a status
maneuver.
report. Oh, we're doing okay.
Too late. Game over, pal.
Heck yeah, Falco. Again, I acknowledge it's a game about a bunch of anthropomorphic leaning animals that are
Entering Venom
flying
airspace zone.
starships and engaging in war with one another. So a couple bombs here in this minefield goes a long way. This will get you to 60 pretty much at the start. I'm going to save my second bomb because Falco always gets attacked right here, and we know he's a little worse for wear. So wait for it,
Bogey behind you.
and there you go.
Slow.
You're alright. Happens to the best of us, Falco. I always said that as a kid. I just like Falco. I like his moments of humility every now and then, you know. Usually plays it so cool. But yeah, you can see the turbo working against these little ships, and you get a +3 on top of it, so +4 technically with every one you take down. So that adds up very quickly.
I guess you're good for something.
Yeah, this is just an arcade game right here. If you want to switch to the first-person cockpit view with up C at this point,
We'll cover you.
kind of add to the immersion a little bit. I think it's a little harder to play the game that way, but you know, just of all the stages, this has that feel to it the most. You take out these little cruisers, they take less hits and only give you a +2, but still. Yeah, these bombs, once you get close enough, they will go off. You just want to avoid damage, take out at least 2, if not 3 of them, and stay on that side of the screen, but not too dangerous.
Did we get him?
I like this guy too.
Not yet, sir. They're on me. I'm getting careless.
These things do a lot of damage, so bombs don't go a long way. They move too quickly for that, so just focus on lining up your shots. Can't target them either, so just make sure your aim is true right there. Again, hate it when he wastes a call. We think we're going to get a resupply, and he's just calling us to troll us, essentially. Already halfway home. You can see, unlike the burst shots, when we take something out off the side of the screen with our turbo shots, we're still getting credit on some of these, so that's why it pays not to give up on any of these. And you got a regular supply of the killer bees showing up right here. They're good for a +4 overall.
They've broken through the first line.
Broken through the first line, and we're almost 2/3 the way to our goal. I think this is one of those stages where we'll hit the 300 or the...
I'm on your
Alright,
side.
he's a little hurt. That could be the only thing which keeps us away from, and good opportunity to use your target right here to get a couple +5s, honestly, depending on how many of those stick around. These warships right here, you need to hit them kind of right there at the top cockpit type area. You can hit their guns too, so there's a chance for probably a 10-point total on each of these if you really neuter them. We're just laying on our brakes right here and enjoying the very engaging back and forth dialogue between the superior and the subordinate here with Andross's forces. Got an odd opportunity for a bit of a cluster bonus right there. Alex Slippy gets attacked so many times, sometimes he doesn't even think to mention it. Got an enemy just tearing him apart on his 6. Wow, right there, we're so close. There's our 300. Always nice to not have to rely on your performance on the end of stage boss to get you over that metal hump right there, but yeah. It's just very intense this stage. You can see why I like it so much. Feels good, feels like we're finally taking it to Andross's forces for once. Going on the offensive right here.
Enemy ahead! This one's different.
I like the sound of that.
We were so
Gotta
close.
keep an eye on Falco as we go back to Gary.
Boss beater. Alright, another frustrating boss here in Area 6, just because it takes a while before we can actually do some satisfying damage to Gorgon here. You just want to shoot those balls at the start. When they appear, they'll become more red before they are destroyed. Take out the arms as well, and it's just kind of repeating this 2 to 3 times. Like I said, it's slow going, it's frustrating. Before you can even fire away at that core, the boss will launch this massive laser at you, this giant ray. Just go to one of the top corners or bottom corners and just move to the opposite side and just stay in that corner. You can pretty much avoid taking any damage if you do this, but eventually take down those balls one more time and then fire away at that core. With Turbo, it's a very short battle. Well, it's not short at all, but it's short from that point. Take him down, move on.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, it's one of those bosses that seems like it's going to take longer than it is based on the incremental damage which we're doing. Just these tiny little bits at a time. Might be thinking you're doing something wrong, but we can't really do kind of mind the claws which come off. It's kind of garbage sometimes because they disappear with the rest of the ship as they're coming at you sometimes. So sometimes they'll be, I guess, transparent enough or opaque enough to still do damage. So if you just stay in one of the corners, you can avoid taking any damage whatsoever. Made the mistake of moving around there, but yeah, just pick a corner, stay in it, you'll be fine. Take out these balls one last time. Like that color of red though. And now we can finally start plugging away. The shield is gone like the 3rd time.
You did it!
Very strange, but yeah, that's about as quickly as we can take that down. Very satisfying explosion right there. I like the very many different ways which they convey explosions in this game. Got the giant pink and white spheres. You have the red and yellow flames now and again. And in that case, just a massive whiteout all across the screen. Getting everyone in relatively tip-top shape.
Hold on. We're entering
Which is a good thing considering it's always a wild card when you face Starwolf, and we're about to face him one last time here on the outside of Venom. Won't have to wait long. These are the only enemies here on this stage. And I mentioned this before. The number here on Venom is 200 to metal. So let's get tips on taking these guys down fast with Gary.
Boss beaters. Alright, Starwolf. On Venom, it doesn't matter where we fight Starwolf. The strategy is always the same. They're a bit tougher this time. More health in the tank, but it's the same strategy. Pick one of your targets, make sure you have some distance between the two of you, bait them into making a move, basically wasting their engines right there so they do a little flip or something, but you're far enough away so that they're still in front of you. Fire away once they come out of their move, whether it's a somersault or a U-turn. Just fire away, take them down, move on to the next one, and just like that, you've taken down Starwolf for the last time.
And as I mentioned before, on Venom the first time, This is the much easier way to hit your medal count of 200, because each of these Star Wolf members is worth 50 if you take them down fast enough. And thanks to Gary's tips right there, it's not too difficult to do just that. Down goes Leon, cockiest member of the Star Wolf team. Well, that might be hard to nail down, actually. There's a lot of ego going around Star Wolf, but there's our 200. See, that number was getting red, so we know we passed by it. Don't have to worry about... It's gonna be okay, Slippy. Don't have to worry about taking down Andross too quickly. That said, I'm sure Gary's gonna give us some tips. So we'll have Fluff come in and tell us the best route to pick up all of the best loot here in the corridors of Venom on the second go-around, once we do the expert, the harder route. I gotta stop confusing expert and hard, as they mean two different things here in Star Fox, but anyway. Tips on taking down the harder version of Andross. Gary, what do you got?
Boss beaters. Alright, Andross on the harder path. It's the same strategy as before. You want to fire at those eyes to stun him, and then go for that hand which is open. Take that down. Go for the other eye, and then go for the other hand, and then go for the eyes one last time. At this point, he'll reveal his true form. A giant brain, apparently. So at the start of this second phase, when you're fighting the brain, I like to fly towards it and then do a U-turn. Now that we're in open space right here, this will cause you to be just in front of those eyeballs that he launches out. Just tilt in the direction and break of those eyeballs and fire away. You'll keep him right in front of you, take him down very quickly. At this point, turn around and go after the brain itself. Fire a few shots to bait Andross as the brain into teleporting away. At this point, you want to brake and tilt hard into the direction of that brain. And then once you come around, he'll have his gray, vulnerable side out in front. Fire at this a bunch of times. Make sure you don't get too close before you pull away, or you'll get sucked into those little tendrils underneath of the brain right there. But repeat this once, maybe 2 times. He'll take him down, and just like that, congratulations, you have beaten Star Fox 64.
Thank you very much, Gary. Yeah, just laying on the brakes. And see, he's coming in a little hot right here. So in that case, I'm going to use the boost just to put a little more distance between us. And we got lucky there. This part always confused me. That's our normal death sound. What are we doing during this brief period right here? We just sitting? Just chilling out?
Don't ever give up, my son.
Because we're not dead yet.
Father?
By the way, buried the lead. Our father is here in some capacity.
Follow me, Fox.
Kind of an Obi-Wan type situation, I suppose, if you will. Fun fact, for what it's worth, in case you were curious, the exit route, which our father shows us right here, is not the reverse of the way which we came in. You'd think that would work, but unaccountably not the case. And if you take a wrong turn and not following your father here, you will run to a dead end of flames and, yeah, lose a life right there, and they'll start you over at the point of following your father once again. There's that line of that Peppy always says. Clearly he stole that from our father. You want to hit the boost as often as possible so you can kind of keep up. Even if you don't see which way he takes the turn, you can generally see that, you know, oh, we came in around the corner. We could see that we didn't see him on the left, so we can generally be certain that that means he took the opposite route, the one that we just couldn't see as clearly. So for what that's worth, as he disappears into the night sky, well, night being a relative term here, but there we are. Beat the game on the medium difficulty route this time. So we'll actually go ahead and get the nicer ending this way, or the best ending, I suppose, if you will. But we're going to go ahead, as we have one last route to knock out. So let's re-rack it one last time. Always looked like Fox had gray hair, but that's just the helmet that he's wearing, you could tell right there. They're trying to make the joke that he's a silver fox, but pretty good score right there. And this will net us my favorite reaction from General Pepper on the invoice.
What?
Just no words. 80,000 space bucks, though, going to the Star Fox Retirement Fund. Alright, let's re-rack it one last time and take on the hard route here in this Star Fox 64 walkthrough. Again, starting with Corneria as always, and once again we are going to take the secret exit, which requires, once again, rescuing Falco when he's being attacked, making sure he survives the mission, and then going through all 7 of those arches in that subsequent section. And then we'll automatically veer off to the right through that waterfall and take on the secret boss of this first stage to continue on with the hard route ultimately. But we've already seen this in our coverage of the easy and medium route portions of this game. Remember the number to metal, Corneria is 150, which is once again easier when you take the Falco route. So let's bring in Fluff once again to give us another Fluff fact about Star Fox 64. Fluff?
Aside from being critically acclaimed and hailed as one of the best games on the N64, Star Fox 64 is also notable for being the first game to be compatible with the Rumble Pack, a 2 AAA battery-powered force feedback Nintendo 64 peripheral which fit into the back of the controller and vibrated when the game would send a signal to it at appropriate times in the games it was compatible with, like in the case of getting shot or hitting an obstacle here in Star Fox 64. Created with the working title Jolting Pack, the peripheral first debuted when it was bundled with the Star Fox 64 game to add to the immersion of the game. Force feedback quickly became the norm for controllers, with it built into subsequent controllers like Sony's DualShock to eliminate the need for external peripherals or batteries. More modern force feedback controllers utilize more advanced haptic technology to more greatly vary and tailor the experience to the context of the game from moment to moment. Regarding the Rumble Pack, Miyamoto commented that during development, the team had difficulty implementing the Rumble Pack in a way which players understood, as those who tested the game with the functionality didn't understand why their controllers were vibrating, unfamiliar with the then brand new technology, which at the time was still a foreign concept. Eventually sold on its own for $20, the bundled Rumble Pack drove the price of Star Fox 64 up to $80 upon its release, a price point other games of that era, like Killer Instinct Gold and Turok Dinosaur Hunter, had already embraced, but without giving you any extra hardware, which can only be described as pure greed. The idea that kids were being asked to spend close to $100 for a single game in the 1990s, Professor? Ugh.
Yeah, does anyone remember that class? It's kind of insane how that went unchecked. Admittedly, some place just charged $5 or $10 more, like KB Toys. If anyone remembers KB Toys, they were more expensive than, say, like a Toys R Us. It's probably usually cheapest to buy it at a superstore kind of place rather than a specialty boutique type of, video game or toy store or something like that. But yeah, I kind of remember those 2 titles in particular being unaccountably more expensive, and I somehow owned them both as a child. Hold on, let's bring in Gary once again for what it's worth. Tips on this boss, even though we've already covered it. Gary, can you refresh us?
Boss beaters. Great attack carrier. Kind of the hidden boss here on this first stage of Star Fox 64 for going the different route. You want to focus on that right segment first. When it opens up, just plug away. It'll break off. At this point, you have 2 segments on the left, the top and the bottom. Focus on one and fire away until it drops off, then repeat that with the other one. Don't really have to worry about too many projectiles. Most of them will be destroyed when they're coming towards you as you just keep firing. Once those left parts are off, just fire away at the core in the center. You'll take it down.
Still satisfying this exchange every time. I know it's his helmet, but it looks like he's wearing like a little beanie or a little ball cap or something with A on it. Very cute. But thank you, Gary. Yeah, Turok and Killer Instinct Gold, I do remember those being more expensive. And yeah, just remember doing a lot of work for the neighbors to earn that $80. But in 1996, $80 adjusted for inflation, for what it's worth, that's worth over $160 today. So, roughly 30 years later. I'm getting angry just thinking about it. kind of want to slap Acclaim, Nintendo, everyone involved in the face, but yeah, it's strange how the price point of games hasn't really changed in the last 30 years from then too much when you think about it. Most AAA games today are $60 to $70 new, but anyway, we need to focus and take out our anger on Andross's never-ending cronies, as again we are sticking to the expert route, the hard route here, the top route, all red bars. So this time, we did not medal Sector Y the first time around, so let's make sure we get that 150 kills to medal this one, or 150 points, excuse me. I gotta stop apologizing, you know what I mean by now. I think we're all on the same page. That number should read whatever the number I say for the medal. And on this stage it is 150. I mentioned before that there's some good opportunities to use some bombs on large clusters of enemies here and there. Very good idea to help you get toward that 150 to grab that medal. We want to make sure we finish this Star Fox 64 walkthrough with every single medal. There you go, mentioned using a bomb there last time. We took the top route last time, so now let's try the bottom route, see what we missed. I think there's a few more enemies if you take the top route, actually. Probably like 8 to 4. And we have one more instance where we can take a different route than we took the first time. We went down below last time with Peppy and or Slippy, so let's go the top route this time once we have the junction. Just past the checkpoint ring right here. Again, as a general rule, the side which Falco goes on is the side with a few more enemies, a bit more challenge. Great opportunity to launch a bomb here in just a second. As you can see, right here, a lot going on the screen. It's just jettison them both right there. Grabbed ourselves about 20 points, I would say. I don't think anyone's ever thought they could hide from you, Slippy. And I don't mean that as a compliment, or in the way that you probably took that, but... Anyway, we've already been through this stage, so let's bring in Fluff for another Fluff fact while we're finishing this one off. Fluff?
While Star Fox 64 is a reboot of 1993's original Star Fox for the SNES, a Star Fox 2 was actually planned and finished, even seeing series creator Shigeru Miyamoto spearheading the project. Late in Star Fox 2's development cycle, when the game was purportedly 95% complete, concerns over higher costs of production due to the game's upgraded Super FX2 chip, coupled with the superior, not to mention 3D graphics established by Nintendo's rivals in the console market at the time, and Sega's Saturn and Sony's PlayStation, made even a relatively advanced-looking game by SNES standards in Star Fox 2 appear obsolete. So plans to release the game were ultimately canceled midway through 1995. Despite this, Nintendo wanted the game completed in the following months, and Star Fox 2 finally received an official release roughly 20 years later, when the more strategy and roguelite-leaning space shooter was released on the Super NES Classic Edition in 2017.
Thank you, Fluff. Anyone play Star Fox 2, by the way, class? Let's go back to Gary. I know we already covered this one, but Gary?
Boss beater. The Shoguns. I like my distance approach with these bosses. The first two of these guys aren't too difficult. They don't move around nearly as much. So just put some distance between yourself and them. Fire away, keep braking, give yourself more time before you pass by them. You'll take them down, and then you'll get the Super Shogun, if you will. He'll come in. Same strategy, just note he's a lot faster, so yeah. The more distance you can put between you and brake to give you more shots before he pulls away or you pass by him, the better. You can take him down very quickly with this strategy. Good luck.
There's our 156, or our 150 rather, currently at 156, and I'm assuming we're going to get a 11 here to add on to that right at the end. He does move quick. Cocky little freak. That's about as salty as you can get from Nintendo, an insult, as spicy. But that should end us with a 167, good enough to medal Sector Y right here. Just a handful more stages to metal, Aquas being one of the most difficult and frustrating in the entire game. I'm not gonna lie, we'll talk about it, but
Your skills have improved, Fox.
let's enjoy this one while it lasts.
I guess you're good for something.
Alright, Falco. I like that he does kind of, there's our 167, everyone's topped off, that's good. Not that we're gonna have to worry about their health in this next stage, actually. We're pretty much gonna be on our own for the majority of this next one. As Star Fox goes under the sea. Love to see it. Alright, just a handful more medals to get. As we carry on to Aquas. The number to get on Aquas is a very nasty 150, if I do say so myself. So we're boarding the Star Fox submarine here, the Blue Marine. There are no bombs on the Blue Marine, but there are torpedoes, and they're infinite. So you can still lock on by holding down A, and then it's a much quicker lock when you want to fire a torpedo. It's just sort of hold that down and then press B. So basically the strategy on this stage is to just keep tapping A and B together for as long as possible. That will launch out torpedoes, and you can also basically, just by tapping again on a target, it will cause a torpedo to lock onto a target after the fact. So we want to be lasering everything, we want to be firing our torpedoes at everything, and that, in my experience, is the only way to not even reliably get 150. It's still going to be a stretch, but yeah, just follow along. Probably my least favorite stage, probably in the running for a lot of people's least favorite stages here in Star Fox 64. I don't mind the concept itself, but just the in the interest of getting that medal, yeah, it's pretty rough. Your fingers are gonna be very tired by the end of this one, but just follow along as Fluff. Can you give me a fun fact to maybe take my mind off of the stress and strain I'm putting on my thumbs right now?
The characters in the original Star Fox were designed to look like puppets when they were speaking, a feature which was carried over to Star Fox 64 as well. As an aside, the characters' mouths sync up with their speech in the Western versions of this game, as opposed to the Japanese version, where they just move regardless. Aside from making animating the characters easier and simpler, the puppet aesthetic came from Miyamoto's love and fandom for the British action puppet television show of the 60s, Thunderbirds, and even had hopes that Star Fox would become so popular that the company behind Thunderbirds would produce a similar show using the characters from Star Fox decades later.
That would have been kind of cool, actually. I remember that Thunderbird. I don't think I've ever seen it, but I've seen certainly clips. Never watched an actual episode or have any context of what that show was about. But anybody remember and or watch Thunderbirds from the 60s? It's kind of garbage. Slippy. Not really sure why we're down here. I'm with Falco. Honestly, I think, and you can take out the columns here, which have the weak points. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if we had left Aquas alone, it wouldn't have posed much of a threat to the Lylat system. Not too concerned about Andross's fish army, whatever he's got going on down here. It's very dark down here, by the way, too. The torpedoes, as was already suggested by somebody in the crew, torpedoes are a good way to light the way up. Trying to get as many of those proximity bonuses as possible, though. I think Imamura was kind of disappointed that this was the only stage which made use of the Blue Marine. Kind of meant there to be more, but just ran out of time in the production, like so many things. But yeah, I don't think we really missed out on anything. He just keeps dunking on poor Slippy. Yeah, this is just an arcade button masher at this point. Fluff, fingers are killing me. You got one more?
We've been down this road before with Contra's Probotector makeover in Europe. but in the PAL region of Europe and Australia, this title was referred to as Lylat Wars. This was purportedly due to perceived issues with the German company Star Fox. For what it's worth, 1993 Star Fox was released in Europe and Australia as Starwing for the same reason. Starting with 2002 Star Fox Adventures though, the next game in the series after Star Fox 64, Nintendo has said stuff you Star Fox and used the Star Fox name globally regardless of region.
Yeah, take that, Star Fox. Thank you very much, Fluff. Alright, we're coming up on the end here, and the boss has a few bonuses which we can get on top of just putting them down to get the normal 11 out of them, which Gary's going to mention here. That should just get us over the finish line, but Gary, what do we got?
Boss beaters. Alright, Bacoon. So it's optional, but you can destroy the 3 kind of cones on top of this boss's head to earn yourself about 10 more points, give or take, which can be very useful for getting you over that hump for the medal for this stage. But otherwise, you want to take out those kind of those columns inside, the tonsils, if you will, of that shell on this boss. Just focus on one, fire some missiles or torpedoes, laser away. You'll take one down, repeat it with the other side. At this point, the eye will be exposed every now and then. Gotta fire some torpedoes at that eye. I like to do this in combination with a lot of laser bursts just to clear the way of all those little pearls that this boss is launching at you, which can destroy one of your torpedoes before it hits the eye. But just keep this process up. Not a difficult boss, you'll take him down.
Thank you very much, Gary. So now we just want to take out those columns as quickly as possible and the boss with it as quickly as possible. Because I guess a +5 would get us there at this point. Because we'd get the 1 +5, but never want to chance it since, you know, we're not coming back this way again. It's not like, I mean, this is our last route. The pearls of this boss kind of remind me of this, I guess, kind of a toy that I had as a kid. I got it from this store in the mall called Natural Wonders. Not sure if anyone remembers that store. Probably referenced it before on this channel, but yeah, they had kind of arts and craft and science leaning toys and projects and stuff like that you could buy. Like a plasma globe, you know, you could touch the electricity and it would be drawn to your touch on the side of the orb right there. But yeah, I had this kind of like desk ornament that had a little fountain inside of it, and the water propulsion, it pushed up these little beads in it. It just looked cool, but I digress. Yippee, we did it.
Thanks, Flip.
As Slippy said.
Wolverine came through.
We did it in more ways than one. We hit our target.
Grew up after all.
I love everyone dunking on Slippy
Thanks
here.
a lot, Peppy.
Not such a screw up.
I'll take the sky any day.
I'm with you, Falco.
Sheesh, Falco. You too.
Are you really surprised, Slippy? Falco's usually the first one to jump on. Falco's not the guy that you go to when you're having some sort of problem, you know? It's like, I don't know, I just been kind of depressed lately. Falco be like, well, don't waste my time with it. Go see a doctor. What do you want me to say? I love Falco. Anyway, good to be getting back to the sky. So we go from the ocean planet of Aquas, or the predominantly water-covered planet of Aquas, to the polluted aqua planet of Zone S here. Toxic waste area. Why are we the first to tell you this? General Pepper just has no idea what's going on. I love it. I mentioned it's just this running theme of him being completely inept. We don't really ever come out and acknowledge it, but yeah, just completely hopeless without the assistance of Star Fox. So the number to achieve the medal here on Zone S is going to be 250. Pretty steep, but there's a lot of opportunities to launch bombs. I realize we don't have any right now, so this might be the best tutorial for this stage, actually. We're going to earn some bombs over the course of it, but yeah, you got to use your bombs wisely. Take out the searchlights here on Zone S. If you miss one, by which I mean you fly by one without taking it down, then that will divert your route to Macbeth. So we'll lose our hard route status, essentially. Use one of your charge shots on those kind of mosquito-looking guys. We're going to get some help here from a familiar face. Well, not in this run familiar, but Falco knows this person. And Fluff actually referenced this character a bit earlier. Admitted he had a bit of a crush on this character. Follow your father. He just gave up on the whole, there she is.
Take the right one, boy.
Yeah, I'm with you, Fluff. She's cute.
What are you doing here?
I don't know why Falco's so against it. Is he like against interspecies mingling, or he can't be? He's part of Star Fox, you know. Diversity's the name of the game. We have the best and brightest. Well, maybe not the best in Slippy's case, but he's bright. He helps us find out the health bar for any bosses we encounter. But we're up to 3 bombs now, so that's good. You can always panic fire one off if you're about to miss one of these searchlights right here. There's a tricky one coming up here a little bit late as this creature from the sea pops out and kind of blocks you out. So the sooner you can take out these spotlights, the better. Always good to be more than halfway to your count, though, halfway through the stage, and there's the boss peeking out of the ocean right there. Yeah, gotta hit the right side of those turny thingamajigs to raise the door there and gain access to that. Otherwise, yeah, just fire a bomb, panic fire right there. Actually missed picking up the call right there, but we're doing okay. 150 at this stage isn't too bad. All right, so there's some opportunities for some proximity combos right here. And good opportunity to use some bombs coming up right here. You might want to hold off on taking down that one crate so you can grab that bomb before the ship moves and makes it more difficult to pick up. But yeah, a couple instances where I like to use bombs here just to make sure that we are going to hit our target of 250. If you go through those loops, you can get yourself, I think it's a weapon upgrade, but we haven't broken any wings yet, actually. There's a nice combo opportunity. Got a whole mess of more enemies lumped up and on the ground right there. Sometimes it's that panic move, and we got some little ships coming in. These miniature kind of drone ships coming in on the water surface down here. This is going to be close. Remember, we're going to get 11 from the boss here. And we also have another supply of searchlight. I can't afford to back off. I'm trying to meddle here, Falco. And we have another short run of spotlights coming up here, searchlights. So I think another 5, so that's worth 10 right here. So we're in good shape. Guess it was 4 technically, and it doesn't matter if Falco takes it out, thankfully, or Cat takes out the searchlight. You still get the point credit for it. So we only need 7 right here. Note the barrels don't count for anything, unfortunately, but I'm sure Gary's got some good tips to take this one down fast. So Gary?
Boss beaters. All right, Sarumarine. This one's kind of fun, a little bit different. We got to use bombs exclusively for the majority of this boss battle. First, you want to fire a bomb at the 2 exhaust pipes on either side of that middle column right there to knock these off. This ensures that he can't go underneath the water and recover his cannons that you can launch off. So once you take off those pipes, you want to fire a bomb at one of the cannons. This will knock it off. At this point, the boss will turn around and dip its crane into the water to try to get that cannon back. So fire 2, maybe 3 bombs into that crane to knock it off. Then you just have 1 cannon left. By the way, the cannons will shoot out projectiles, which if you shoot them, become bombs. So as you're firing bombs, you'll have a lot more bombs to make this battle very possible. Take out that last cannon with a bomb. At this point, just want to shoot for those 3 kind of circles that are beneath that projectile that it's launching out at you, and above the guns it's firing at you. Shoot that with your laser. You can also use bombs, but laser works at this point. Take him down.
Thank you very much, Gary. I love bosses where you can not only use your bombs, but replenish your bomb supply on them. This being the only one in the game, but still.
I'm fine.
Even Slippy knows that every time we want to check in, we're always pretty much just talking about him.
Cat, where'd you go?
See? A little something there. Don't worry though, not the last we have seen of Cat. So again, if any of the searchlights pick you up, then they'll all go red and you'll be diverted to Macbeth. If they don't, then we get to carry on the hard route to the final stage, which we have not yet seen. And I guess the only stage which we have yet to medal, Sector Z right here, another tricky one actually, because even though the count is relatively low at 100, not a lot of opportunities, so.
The enemy army is gunning for you. Be careful.
Don't worry, sir.
I think they've been gunning for us this entire game, General Pepper. I know you've just been chilling out on the now secured Corneria, but still. So this one's a little bit different. This is a nice change of pace. We have one of these open sandbox areas here. So the thing with Sector Z is there's going to be 6 missiles which will appear in different waves. First, a single missile for that first one, and then 2 and 3 will come together, and then 4, 5, and 6 will come together. And if any one of those missiles manages to hit the Great Fox, then you immediately lose the mission and you get sent back down to Bolse. And you're kind of locked into the easy mode and the bad victory by then. So, we want to prioritize those missiles, and by the way, each one of those is worth 11 points. So you have 66 right there. Here at the start, you obviously want to take down as many of these one-off enemies as possible. It's frustrating again. Didn't clock it. Yeah, the frustrating thing about this stage, aside from the missiles and trying to hit that 100 for the medal, is that your entire crew will basically be begging for help for the majority of this mission. The good news is, on this difficulty, meaning not expert, you don't really have to worry about any of them being taken down. The game's fair in that, it knows that you need to prioritize those missiles. Something else to mention is that there are a number of floating, kind of like cargo boxes spread out around this sector, and you can take them down for maybe 3 points each, as we have our first missile coming in. Note that when the missile first arrives, it's going to be just off screen, so if you're very close to that southern edge of the map, you can't actually get to the missile right away, and it'll cause you to U-turn, and it'll kind of mess with your timing a little bit. So if you want to just wait for a second if you're very close to the edge of that map. On the southern side, I think we can put enough shots in this first one. There's our plus 11 on that. Yet something else, one last thing to mention about this stage is that if you take damage, if you lose a wing at any point, one or both of your wings, you can fly into the back of the Great Fox. You can see an opening right there. And if you go in without one or both of your wings, you'll come out fully repaired. That's fun. Makes you wonder why, if any of our wingmen get shot down during a mission, they have to miss the next mission before they can come back. It seems like, I don't know, maybe it's priority service for Fox. They just, they fix him up with the speed of a NASCAR crew, it seems like, comparatively. Also note, every single time which new missiles arrive, you get this sort of spiral formation of enemies arriving. So if you just go on the outside of them, like we're showing right here, you can knock out probably 10 or more enemies pretty easily each time. And then you can also see they kind of group around the Great Fox. So if you want to fire a missile in some cases, or a bomb, excuse me, you can fire bombs if you're panicking, and if these missiles are getting really close to the Great Fox, you can fire a bomb, and that might get you over the finish line and take him down. He'll alert you when they're, hey, there she is.
Hug all the fun.
Cat, can't you go bother someone else?
Come on, Falco, we heard you talking about her. She clearly likes you, and she's a very capable pilot. Just accept that cat's help. Anyway, we're at 74 right now, so you can see not too difficult if you followed the strategy which we laid out right here for hitting that 100 medal. If we just pace ourselves and positioning ourselves well for these final few missiles, we can clear out the rest of these ourselves and get our... Alright, well, Slippy's starting to get ripped up a little bit. He would definitely be dead on the harder difficulty. Yeah, he goes distance 50, he'll alert you at 20, and then I think 10 when he'll say that that collision is, or impact is imminent.
Beautiful. I could kiss you for that.
Falco might take issue with that, I don't know. Or then again, maybe that's the little push that he needs to finally make a move, but anyway, that should be our final medal, actually. I don't know that she really helped, but...
Good luck, little man.
Little man. Any response from Falco? No? Yeah, that should be the last one, though. We did Area 6 on the medium route. That's where we're headed next. Again, if you let one of those missiles hit the Great Fox... Great Fox is okay. Again, using the technical terms there. Yeah, I appreciate this mission. Something a little bit different. Dang right, Peppy.
Don't worry. Peppy's here.
Not sure where that came from. I don't know, my motto's always been like, Slippy's here, maybe we should worry, but... On to Area 6 for the second time. We showed you how to medal that one in the medium course. Same strategy, once again, turbo helps to hit that 300. If you didn't get the medal for that one. Yeah, that's the, I believe that Sector Z is the sole stage without a quote-unquote boss, if you will. But let's carry on to Area 6. Finishing off the hard route here.
It's almost over.
And since we've seen this already, let's bring in Fluff for another Fluff fact.
Will do, General.
Maybe teach us something we didn't know about this game before. Fluff, you got anything?
I hate to be a pedant here, Professor, but despite Peppy's instruction that you perform a barrel roll by simply double-tapping Z or R, I'm here to tell you that this maneuver is actually referred to as an aileron roll. To be considered a proper barrel roll, a loop would also have to be integrated alongside the 360 revolution. But to Peppy's credit, the two terms are often confused with one another. And yes, I do kinda hate myself for pointing that out, in case everyone was wondering.
No, you're good, Fluff. I appreciate that. So once again, we can use some bombs here at the start to clear out, and more importantly, get a lot of points to our total towards that 300. Curious, what's your favorite stage here in Star Fox 64 class? I would be curious to know. Leave a comment. Yeah, I'd say mine is a three-way tie between Katina, where we had the Independence Day mission, if you will, with Bill, Macbeth when we're in the tank and just take it down that forever train, and then here in Area 6, just because, like I said, this is just a button masher, arcade style. Just taking out as many enemies as possible. I love it. It's just the intensity of the back and forth voice acting. Sorry, Falco. I guess technically we could lose him this time around. Sometimes the braking gets me in trouble, as you can see right there. Since we already have the medal, but we'd like to keep him. Like to keep him alive here if possible. Like to keep everyone upright. Especially knowing that everyone's going to be topped off more or less once we get that 300 count once again. Yeah, let's get another Fluff fact actually again. We've already done this stage. Just follow along if you're looking to medal this one. But Fluff, you got one more for me?
Despite there being three main routes you can ultimately take to get to Venom, there are only two versions of the Venom stage itself. It turns out that the development team behind Star Fox 64 initially planned a third stage, which would see Fox jump out of his R-Wing and battle Andross on foot with a bazooka. But with time constraints leading up to the release, this idea was ultimately cut. The mechanic was instead repurposed for and included in the battle mode. So if you medal on the Venom stage on Expert mode, You'll unlock the ability to battle your foes on foot with that bazooka.
Thank you very much, Fluff. Yeah, anyone get much use out of the battle mode? Or any of the multiplayers? I have to say, I mean, this is obviously predominantly a one-player game. I just feel like they added that in as an afterthought there at the end. But, yeah, it's, I think, for me, between having Super Mario Kart 60, or Mario Kart 64 come out, you know, a few months before this game, and then having GoldenEye follow it by a couple months, I think those were the games which were more or less monopolizing the multiplayer aspects of my N64 in 1997. Might put this on for a little bit and then be like, alright, that was fun, let's go back to GoldenEye. Yeah, Expert mode is unlocked after meddling every single stage on the normal mode in this game, and yeah, your R-Wing is, it feels like it's put together with tissue paper, or paper mache it's constructed with. Just a couple shots, you lose a wing, which means you're knocked down to your single laser, not to mention it's more difficult to control because your ship just keeps favoring one direction, not to mention losing altitude constantly. See, it's not easy, hence the Expert title, but it is cool seeing Fox McCloud wearing those shades like his dad. We definitely would have lost our wings by now had we been playing on Expert mode, getting knocked around as we have been. I'd say that probably knocks the difficulty up in this game to, you know, maybe a 7. And if you're trying to medal, probably even higher than that if you're trying to medal all the stages. And we've already brought in Gary to talk about all the bosses, but let's bring him back in for a refresher here on Gorgon once again. Gary?
Boss beaters. Alright, another frustrating boss here in Area 6, just because it takes a while before we can actually do some satisfying damage to Gorgon here. You just want to shoot those balls at the start. When they appear, they'll become more red before they are destroyed. Take out the arms as well, and it's just kind of repeating this 2 to 3 times. Like I said, it's slow going, it's frustrating. Before you can even fire away at that core, the boss will launch this massive laser at you, this giant ray. Just go to one of the top corners or bottom corners and just move to the opposite side and just stay in that corner. You can pretty much avoid taking any damage if you do this, but eventually take down those balls one more time and then fire away at that core with Turbo. It's a very short battle. Well, it's not short at all, but it's short from that point. Take him down, move on.
Thank you, Gary. Yep, same strategy. And from here, just got to take down Starwolf one last time. And speaking of which, Fluff?
Earlier I shared some facts about the Star Fox team, so now how about some about their rivals in Starwolf? For instance, their leader Wolf O'Donnell was previously rivals with Fox's father James McCloud, and is considered to be one of the best pilots in the Lylat system. Despite his reputation as being a scoundrel, Wolf has a bit of complexity and integrity to his character. It's actually implied that Pigma Dengar, who the intro explained double-crossed James McCloud, which led to his death, manipulated Wolf into becoming the leader of Starwolf and fighting for Andross, with the express purpose of countering the Star Fox team. The Star Fox 64 guide adds to this lore and says, without Pigma's intervention, Fox and Wolf, well, they might otherwise possibly be respected allies of one another. There's also a ton of ego in Starwolf, with Leon delivering lines like, "I am the great Leon," and Andrew constantly reminding the player of his lineage. Speaking of which, it's been suggested in various Star Fox lore that Andrew is only there through a quid pro quo, through which the Starwolf team gets the latest tech and financial backing from Andross by allowing Andrew to be part of the team, and that as the worst pilot out of the group, he wouldn't be able to make Starwolf based on merit alone.
Yep, tale as old as time, nepotism. Thank you, Fluff. Even exists in this futuristic world of foxes flying starships. There you go. Starwolf one last time. Let's go to Gary once again. We got the refresher on Gorgon. How about one more refresher on the members of Starwolf here on Venom?
Boss beaters. Alright, Starwolf. On Venom, it doesn't matter where we fight Starwolf. The strategy is always the same. They're a bit tougher this time. More health in the tank, but it's the same strategy. Pick one of your targets, make sure you have some distance between the two of you, bait them into making a move, basically wasting their engines right there so they do a little flip or something, but you're far enough away so that they're still in front of you. Fire away once they come out of their move, whether it's a somersault or a U-turn. Just fire away, take them down, move on to the next one, and just like that, you've taken down Starwolf for the last time.
Definitely the last time this time, thank you, Gary. Always like to try to take down Wolf last. Wolf O'Donnell. The names. Here goes Andrew. Probably the most satisfying boss as far as I'm concerned. I don't know, just something about putting Gary's tactic into action like we did right there. Just put a little distance. I am the Great Leon. A knowing bird. It's 4-on-1 and yet no one else is doing anything right here. Go figure. As we meddled Venom once again. Not probably the easiest one to meddle if you stick to that strategy, but alright, what's the best route in here, Fluff?
While every route ultimately leads to Andross, arguably the best and most profitable route here through Andross's tunnel maze from the start is left, right, left, left, right, right. If you pick up every power-up along this way, this will net you 2 laser upgrades, 3 gold rings, and a bomb.
Best way to clean up, thank you very much, Fluff. Yeah, this will get you in good shape if you maybe lost a wing at some point or got it back, but you don't have the laser upgrades that you want, that you need. And the gold rings certainly help as well. Getting that little health boost right there, but we're going to take him on without it, because once again, we got Gary, but yeah, Gary, this time, take us home.
Boss beaters. Alright, Andross on the harder path. It's the same strategy as before. You want to fire at those eyes to stun him, and then go for that hand which is open. Take that down, go for the other eye, and then go for the other hand, and then go for the eyes one last time. At this point, he'll reveal his true form. A giant brain, apparently. So at the start of this second phase, when you're fighting the brain, I like to fly towards it and then do a U-turn. Now that we're in open space right here, this will cause you to be just in front of those eyeballs that he launches out. Just tilt in the direction and brake of those eyeballs and fire away. You'll keep him right in front of you, take him down very quickly. At this point, turn around and go after the brain itself. Fire a few shots to bait Andross as the brain into teleporting away. At this point, you want to brake and tilt hard into the direction of that brain. And then once you come around, he'll have his gray, vulnerable side out in front. Fire at this a bunch of times. Make sure you don't get too close before you pull away, or you'll get sucked into those little tendrils underneath of the brain right there. But repeat this once, maybe 2 times. He'll take him down, and just like that, congratulations, you have beaten Star Fox 64.
There it is. I love that strategy. Thank you so much, Gary. Excellent work today. Excellent work to all of my TAs. Again, what are we doing? We just floating around? Did Fox just feel like he had to say that? He's like, wait a minute. I'm not in any pain whatsoever. I'm just floating around here.
Give up, my son. Father?
Just follow him out one last time. So we're also working to preserve a no-death run of Star Fox 64 here, as we've covered every single medal, every single stage, every single route. Lots of fun, Fluff facts. It's been a good class. Guess I'll mention this one now while we're on our way out, but if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to enroll in Video Games 101. We do one of these classes every single week in the same spot. Love to have you enrolled. Click that like button too if you don't mind. Really does help us out to make future classes for you. And yeah, leave a comment. We've prompted you to leave many comments during this class, whether it be about natural wonders, your favorite stage, your favorite route, but always love hearing from you. Going to assume and hope that our father is dead, strange as that is to say. That's better than him just abandoning us for all these years and hanging out in Andross's fun house of tunnels this whole time.
Way to go, Fox!
Thanks, Lips.
That's our leader.
Alright. Even earned the respect from Falco there as we're looking around for our father.
Nothing's wrong.
That hit me as a kid. Our best run, though, I think. Gonna be one heck of an invoice we send to General Pepper. And this ending will vary slightly, yes, between beating it on the easier Venom or harder Venom route. As you can see, you won't see Andross staring back at you in the sunset on this difficulty. But in addition, you'll also, depending on which route you took, you'll have Fox stares us down. Oh god. Have you been here this whole time? There's Imamura. You wore a number of different hats. Did some writing, did a whole mess of things. There's Marita right there. And you can see, that's what I was referring to. You have Cat flying by with Falco. Whoever you, Koji Kondo with the music. Yeah, whoever your +1 for your route was, like Bill, then he'd show up alongside Fox in his shot right there. So just a nice little detail right there as we celebrate. Because, yeah, you can't, there's not a way to do multiple routes with multiple allies, I believe. So we head back to Corneria for our Star Wars-esque reward ceremony at the end. Award ceremony, reward ceremony. I mean, the invoice is the real reward, but... And you get one last little piece of whatever you want to call it at the very end if you beat it on Expert, and we'll show you that still here. At the end of this one, flying a little low, Great Fox. Not sure if I were any of the citizens of the Cornerians, I would be comfortable with that, but warming up these buildings if nothing else. I mentioned this at about the start. I love it. You know, they're the good guys, obviously, but they're still mercenaries. They're still doing it at the end of the day, in large part, for the paycheck, you know, as General Pepper's gonna offer us in this, again, very Star Wars influenced scene right here, a chance to join the Cornerian army.
Fox, we are in your debt. I would be honored to have you as part of the Cornerian
Oh no, sir. We prefer doing things our own way.
The nods. Falco can't even be bothered.
Great
Just
Fox
annoyed that he has
is
to come to
ready
this.
go.
Great Fox is ready to go.
Time for us to go now.
Peppy again, with the nod. Always thought the Great Fox could park a little bit closer, or maybe General Pepper could arrange a ride for us to get back. Maybe knowing how much he's about to have to pay via the invoice, he's like, I don't think we can afford to provide a car to take you back to the Great Fox. Or we probably can afford it, but we're not going to, just to stick it to you, because you're about to stick it to us. But love that shot, though, of the Great Fox appearing over the horizon. Which, I guess it's the curve of the planet, but it also just kind of makes it seem like there's a massive drop-off right at the edge. There's a cliff over there, but as the music just swells right here, love it. Great piece of work from Koji Kondo. By the way, reference this, but yeah, if you beat the game on Expert after the end, you'll get one last just still image right here. Great! Like, it's like a sign for a children's birthday party or something, and not a good one either, just something they slapped together at the last minute. But there you go. Ear Force, special thanks. Should also mention you get a different title screen if you medal all the stages on Expert mode, but That is quite the challenge right there. As we fly off into the sunset here on this final shot. Ready for the next adventure in the Star Fox Chronicles. I guess that's another question. What was your favorite game in the Star Fox series? Go with the original SNES, go with this version. Star Fox Adventures, Command, Assault they had. They had 3D, which was just the remake for the 64 version. Star Fox Zero, Guard, or Fluff mentioned it, Star Fox 2, which was finally released years ago. But there you go, absolute classic from Nintendo. June 30th, 1997. North American release date right there. Thank you so much everyone for attending this class. Again, subscribe if you haven't, but all that's left now, one of my favorite parts of the game. And I think that was our personal best here in the Star Fox 64 walkthrough, 1372. Generally speaking, the harder course will net you more kills versus 1264 and 1027. All right, here we go.
What?
I think we might be able to push that up to 100,000 if we varied our routes slightly, but there you go. That's still pretty satisfying. Going to the Star Fox Retirement Fund, as I mentioned, but that's our time for this week. We'll see you next week in the same spot for next week's class, right here on Video Games 101. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and comment on this video, and click subscribe if you haven't already, as this seriously helps me to keep making great content for you. And check the description of this video to see what song is playing right now.